Good morning and welcome to the latest Active in Redbourn live event. And this one is my version of breathing in air. This is my week 2. And I also want to add in praise for your immune system and gratitude. And so we've been blessed with some brilliant events in Active in Redbourne's Live Well with Air series. And so we've had Pilates and yoga and singing, and we're now planning some different events to add into the schedule for June. And so please keep calling in on the events we've got planned in May. And we also had a great community call yesterday with talking about birds. John Fisher was talking about birds, and it reminded me that we really need to keep our windows open and so that we actually get some clean air into the house, because we've been so locked in our houses, we may forget to actually add in some new air. And of course, the air that we have in our house gets more and more carbon dioxide in it, and what we want is more and more fresh oxygen. So this morning I've got my window open, and you'll probably hear the birds twittering in the garden. I'm not as clever as John Fisher. I don't know which ones they are, but they are twittering away in the background. And I'm also delighted that lots of the events have been getting 400, in excess of 400 views on Active in Redbourne, which is an incredible achievement. And so well done to everybody, and thank you all for listening to them. So my first question is, how are you getting on with the breathing that I did last week? I was doing, for those who weren't here, I was doing nose breathing in and out through your nose and right down into your diaphragm. So let's just breathe together for a second, just going gently in and out. And the idea is to get to the bottom. And a kid gave me a brilliant metaphor like for that yesterday. If you think of when you fill up a bucket with water, what are you doing? Are you filling up the top first, or are you filling up the bottom first? So you're filling up the bottom first. And so if you think of your lungs as filling up with air, then you're filling up right down to the bottom of your lungs, and then you're letting go of the air back through your nose. And of course, we've got, I talked last week a lot about nitric oxide that's created in the back of your nasal passages. And it's really important that we get, as we get older, because we have less nitric oxide, that we use our nose to create more nitric oxide, and that we hum. If we hum, then we are generating more nitric oxide. And so what we're looking for is smooth, gentle, deep breathing and filling up the bucket from the bottom up to the top. And of course, good breathing creates more restorative sleep, which is another important factor. And I hope that I'd love to have some response from you about how you've been getting on with your breathing, and I will endeavour to answer questions. If you're a runner, then, and I know a lot of the people are, I really recommend you listen to the you read The Oxygen Advantage, which is a book from Patrick McGowan, or you watch some of his videos, because I'm not a runner, but he's really good on how you can use nasal breathing and diaphragmatic breathing to improve your running performance. One thing I left out last week was hay fever, and there's an awful lot of hay fever around. And I don't know why there is so much this year. It might be something to do with the lack of pollution, and the more bugs that are around and the more pollinators, or the happier the plants are. I've no idea. But looking up Patrick McGowan's work on breathing, the more you use your nasal passages, the better, the clearer they will be, and the easier it'll be for hay fever sufferers. And so we've got another little tip that I can talk to you about if you're interested in one-to-one, but basically do try to use your nasal passages as much as you possibly can. And I must remind you that from last week that I'm not a medic, I'm a health and learning coach. And so please check out anything I say that you don't think's right for you with your doctor before you try anything. So this week I wanted to go on to the immune system. And I would like to shout out great achievement for everybody's immune system. I was listening to Professor Whitty, as I do most days, on the TV, and I don't get involved in all the awful stuff, but I do listen to him about what is going on. And he was talking about people who um, don't get it at all. He was talking about people who are asymptomatic, and then talking about people who've only got mild and moderate challenges. And all of those people are getting their immune system to help them out and get rid of the bug. And so we really must shout out for our own immune systems and what a great job they're doing for millions and millions of people worldwide. And even when you're in hospital, you're in ICU, you've still got your immune system to help you out. So I'm very clear about the government recommendations on what we should be doing, but I'm also very involved in what we can do individually. And I have a simple question: what makes the difference? And what makes the difference between whether you don't get it or you're asymptomatic or you get mild symptoms? And it must be down in part to your immune system. And so I thought I'd tell you a little bit about your immune system. Now, some of you may know, but it's a very complex structure, and I'm try and make it really easy, that defends the body against infection, and it generates an immune response to protect us from harm. It's like a learning organization. It's continuously learning from birth all the way through life. And what its basic principle is: what is me and what is not me? And that's its most important function. And so it's distributed throughout your body. It's in every cell of your body, including the linings of your airways. If you've got children and you breastfed them, you'll know that they believe that that improves the immunity of children. Even sneezing is part of your immune system to get rid of something. And your stomach is definitely part of your immune system. And even your appendix is part of your immune system for those who still got appendixes. And for those who haven't got appendixes, they need to be a little bit more careful with their immune system. And the amazing thing is it can identify a threat, mount an attack, eliminate an intruder, all in the course of just a few days. And when it makes a mistake, then there is a prolonged reaction of chronic inflammation, which we need to look after it so it doesn't make mistakes. It's like looking after any child. We need to look after them, help them to not make mistakes. And um, when they make a mistake, maybe they just weren't feeling very good that day. There is quite often a trauma associated with people's immune system going wrong. There's two parts to the immune system, very briefly. There is part one, which is what they call the innate immune response. And it's all it basically does is knows whether something is you or not you. So if you cut yourself or you get a thorn, your immune system comes rushing along to solve the problem. It reacts within minutes, absolutely. As you well know, if you get a thorn in your finger, you get it started to go red almost immediately. That's your immune system, and you're going, yes, my immune system's feeling really strong about this. But it's got no memory of what happens. And so when you go and stab yourself with another thorn, I'm afraid to say you're going to get another immune response, and it's going to be exactly the same. So that's what they call your innate immune response. Then there is also your adapted immune response. This identifies an intruder and distinguishes it about whether it's friendly or a deadly one. And the disadvantage is it can take a little while to work out that fact. It's not instantaneous. But the advantage is it's got a memory. And the stronger the memory is, the faster the response time. So if you have a bug or you have an infection, then it remembers it. So the next time it comes along, you actually have a very, very minor experience of it. I remember it once with the flu, for example, and the one of the family had the flu, and it was a horrible flu, and it went on for about a week. And then about a week later, they got the same thing again. And I went, oh my goodness, we're not going to go through that horrible week again, are we? And what happened was we went through the whole thing in about 4 hours, in about half a day. They had all the same symptoms, but they were really close together because their immune system was going, oh, I know what to do with this. I'm going to deal with it like this. That's how I dealt with it last time. So it keeps a record of everything it's ever defeated, so it can recognize and destroy it more quickly if it turns up again. This is the way vaccination works. So you get a little dose of something which gets your immune system to go, oh, right, I'm going to know what to do with this. And then if it happens again, then you get back to, then it knows how to deal with it. And it's everybody's job to look after their immune system in the best possible way, because it's needed to defend them when the need arises. Nobody else is going to look after your immune system for you. You have to do it yourself. Allergies are typically when your immune system stored the wrong information and it overreacts. And as I said earlier, I think that you can have it's often associated with a trauma when you develop an allergy the next time you meet something. So, for example, if you're eating a meal and you have a trauma of some degree, then when you can quite easily become allergic to the stuff that was in that meal, because the next time you eat like prawns or something, your body is going to associate with the trauma that happened last time. And so there are ways of getting over that, but it takes a little bit more time. And so whilst we're waiting for a vaccination for COVID, let's see what we can do for ourselves. And learning how to get your immune system into the best shape possible really, really helps. So the first thing I'd like to invite you to do is to think about your immune system. What do you believe about your immune system? Do you believe it's good, or it's bad, or it's useless, or it's frequently having hiccups and it doesn't know what it's doing? And so people have developed all sorts of beliefs around their immune system. And so what I'd like you to do is I'm going to invite you to try out a little bit of power visualization and see what you think of it. Don't have to do it if you don't want to. Just sit there and wait for me to get to the end. It'll only be a few minutes. And so let me invite you to try a simple visualization. And you can use the power of visualization. That's the pictures you hold in your head. So and it was this particular process was invaluable to me several years ago when I was extremely ill. And so I just want to share it with you. Think about your immune system. What does it look like? What's the picture that comes to you? I'll just leave you to think about that for a few seconds. What picture do you get? Do you get a picture? Do you get a voice? Do you get a feeling? You might even get a taste and a smell. But what picture do you get? Now, it might be a really great picture. This is up to you. There is no right answer to this. It might be a really sad picture. What I'd like you to do is to think about how you would like that picture to slightly improve in the next hour. So if it was at A, how could it go to B, and what would it look like at B? And then, once you've got the picture of the next hour, let's try the next day. How would you like it to be tomorrow? And tomorrow is Friday, when I last thought about it. And then we've got the weekend next. So how would you like that picture to be at the weekend? And how would you like that picture to develop in the next week? So it's a bit like watching a movie of how you can progress that picture into something you really want. So next week you've got to some place and it's looking a lot better than it was when you started, probably. Then you can ask it to come back and educate the first picture and move that picture up to being from the benefit of being the weekend, how can that picture now improve? And then how can that picture improve in the next hour and the next day and the next weekend and the next week? So you get the idea. You're generating a movie of changes for your immune system to be the best possible immune system you can have. And just think for a moment, how does that feel? I'd love to have some response online. How does that feel? This I used in hospital when I was severely ill a few years ago, and it was an invaluable tool because my immune system had been severely poisoned. Right, so let's move on. How do we get our immune system into good shape? I look at what's going on at the moment is that we are sort of having an upgrade to our immune system, if you can understand that metaphor. It's a bit like your computer. You know, when your computer wants to do an upgrade from one release to another, do you recall being advised to prepare your computer for the upgrade by first cleaning up your computer, moving out loads of spare files that you don't need, so the transition is going to be as good as possible? So just think about your immune system being upgraded like that. And what would you need to do to actually make it in as good a shape as possible to cope with what was coming down the line? That's how you're going to succeed with this and have a successful upgrade to your immune system. So what you might, and there is a list of things that everybody can try doing what they particular fancy. There's a lot on my list, and I do quite a lot of them, but I don't attempt to do all of them because that might be a bit overwhelming. But you can pick out of this. There is lots of things you can do to help your immune system. So pick out the ones that seem really a good idea to you, really resonate with you. There's physical and mental exercise. Even if we're self-isolating, there is much we can do to remain active. For example, there's all the exercise programs that we're doing with Active in Redbourn. There's several on the TV, there's several on YouTube, and I find my daily walk is so invaluable. In point of fact, I walk every day now, which I didn't do before. So I'm actually doing more exercise, which is interesting. Thank you, Boris. Exploring healthy nutrition, especially fresh, uncooked foods. It's lovely that we've got the summer coming so we can have more uncooked food because there's more vitamins and minerals in that. Do keep hydrated, my glass of water. Um, you can make, if you're getting into different sorts of food, then it can be not only good for you, it can also be really interesting. And please avoid sugars because that's going to have a bad effect on your immune system. Practicing good breathing, I talked about at length last time, and I talked about a little bit today. And restful sleep helps you relax and keeps your body in balance. That's another really important one. Your immune system is suppressed by toxins such as alcohol and smoking, etc. Please do everything possible to improve the quality of the air you breathe. As I say, don't forget to open the windows when it's nice and sunny outside. Fresh air is so delightful currently. Sneezing, in point of fact, can get rid of bugs as well. That's part of your immune system, and it does do its part in protecting you. Personally, I sneeze a lot. I have sneezed a lot since I was a teenager, and I actually find it really useful. Right, there's vitamins and herbs. Now, there's loads of different people's views on this. I'll just give you some of the ones I use, which is vitamin C, which most people seem to agree about, B12, D, zinc. I take echinacea, which I normally take for a cold. And plus, every morning, I drink turmeric, pepper, lemon, rosemary, and thyme in tea. And so that's my morning tipple, if you like. I'd love you to do something during the lockdown that you actually feel really enthusiastic about, if you possibly have got the time. I decided that I've published books, and quite often well, all of them have got cartoons in them, and I decided I wanted to do better cartoons myself. And so I'm teaching myself to do cartoons during the lockdown. So I can look back at it and go, well, that was really useful. I've achieved something I've been wanting to do for years and never got around to it. I hear of others taking up hobbies like painting, painting the house as well, doing the garden, clearing out the cupboards, learning a foreign language, improving their painting skills. There's a lovely program on the TV I saw the other day about painting, which was The Joy of Painting, 7 o'clock on a Thursday, which was like instant painting, very clever. And what I also noticed is that we're getting really good at um, saying hello to strangers in the village. And so I really would recommend that although we can't do physical we can't do physical contact, we can certainly actually do social contact, which I think has actually got slightly the wrong title, because social contact is what we do online, is like doing a talk this morning. Social contact is what we might do over the telephone, etc. And that's all right. It's the physical contact that they want to reduce. I would, although again you're dealing with, you should always take medical advice. Be careful not to be too stressed and traumatized by all of this, because that's suppressing the immune system. I scream at the television on a regular basis because they are always talking about things that are disasters. They are not talking about survival rates. And the survival rates with this is ridiculously high. And so it's really a shame that although the information is available, we don't talk about survival rates. Because happiness will improve our general well-being. Seek out things like fun TV, connect with friends remotely. There's all sorts of things you can do, but try and avoid some of the negativity that is bouncing around at the moment, because it's very catching. If one person's miserable, then another one is likely to be. So if you can be the person that's cheerful, then you can change that dynamic. Do be careful about the news. I do appreciate people need to know who've passed, and it's awful what's happening. But I also don't want people terrorized by fear, because that's not going to help their immune system. We need a balance, and it's no coincidence that happier people are healthier. And lastly on this long list is, have you ever noticed how you speak to yourself? Your subconscious is listening all the time. If you keep telling yourself, I'm at risk, your subconscious is going to go panic, I'm at risk, or this is awful. If you say to yourself, I'm protected, just try it for a moment for yourself. To say, I'm at risk 5 times, see what you feel like. I'm at risk, I'm at risk, I'm at risk. I can feel my shoulders coming in. I'm at risk. If I say to myself, I'm protected, I'm protected. I have a completely different feeling. I'm protected. I feel as if I'm in a cocoon of a nice warm blanket or something like that. I'm protected. I'm protected. So please notice the difference. If you can change the language you speak and the language you speak internally, it will make the world of difference. So let me just go on to, I want to give you this. It's a song, but I am not going to sing it. Because Katie's class last week and this week was absolutely amazing. And I discovered that, firstly, I do have a voice that I didn't know I had. And secondly, it's not very good. So I'm not going to sing this, but it's a little song that was written by one of my trainers many years ago. And when I'm walking around the common, humming to myself, I hum this little song, which is, okay, every little cell in my body is happy. And I do encourage you to join in with this as well, because it's very repetitive. You can get it. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. I can tell every little cell in my body is happy and well. I can tell every little cell in my body is happy and well. So if you can remember that, if not, I shall. If you ask me, I shall post it on the group. And what I want to do now is to talk to you about gratitude. Lots of people do what they call gratitude diaries, and it's really a helpful thing to do. It's really useful for the kids to sit at the end of the day and think, what am I grateful for? And what do I appreciate about myself? So I'm going to read you a little thing out of my book, The Little Book of Mindfulness, which I used last week as well. And so I'm just going to walk you through this. And so gently relax, sit back, and in just a few minutes, we will be explaining gratitude to you. Gratitude and appreciation help us turn towards joy and gladness, which create chemicals of well-being and peace in our whole body. Studies show that regular practice of gratitude and appreciation, including writing it down, the experience you are feeling grateful for, can lead to better health, less stress, and a more optimistic outlook on life. Find a peaceful spot where you can sit down and write in a notebook and meditate. Give yourself a few minutes to note down all the things that you're grateful for, such as friendships, things about yourself, your body, your home, pleasurable memories, and so on. Things that have happened during the day. Read through your list and internally give words of thanks for each point you have noted. For example, thanks for a beautiful smile. Thanks for my special favourite mug. My last holiday. When you give thanks, really tune into all 5 senses as best you can. That's visually, auditory, what can you hear, emotionally, what can you feel, and maybe what you can taste and smell. Bring awareness to this moment. What are you grateful for right now, right here and now? How does this feel in your body, and where do you feel it? Gently breathe and sit with gratitude for a little while longer. Then we come on to self-compassion. Self-compassion can be the yin to the yang of mindfulness. We need to be kind and accepting of ourselves when we don't manage to be mindful. While we need mindfulness to observe our own self-critical behavior and thoughts. This was the thing I was talking to you about earlier, where I was saying about the messages you give yourself. Take a large sheet of paper and draw on it a big letter I. The big I represents you as a whole, all the actions you've ever done, all aspects of your body, mind, and talents, and so on. Over 1 week, write down within the big I little I's whenever they arise. Choose one coloured pen for what you like about yourself and another colour for what you feel needs improving or accepting. Make each little I represent one aspect only. So I would write down in green, enjoy meeting people, even if we are physically isolating for them. Good at cooking, for example. That's not me, that's the writer of this book. Nice eyes. When I would put in red, increase patience and improve organization. It's wonderful to really see in a large scale how we consist of a broad choice of behaviors and characteristics. Nobody will be either a complete failure or completely perfect. This is our human condition, and to accept it fully is the starting point for change. So do develop your either your gratitude book or your self-compassion. I use a gratitude book every evening, and I write into it what I'm grateful for, even the tiniest things. And if you have a down day, it's really great to look through your gratitude book and go, those are all the things I'm grateful for. So just to finish, my name's Olive Hickmott, and if you want to get in contact with me, I'm olive@empoweringlearning.co.uk, or you can write on the blog. I'd be delighted for you to write on the blog and also pass it on to your friends. Next week, I'm going to do a topic on reframing anxiety because there is so much anxiety around at the moment. So do come and join me next week, and it's been a pleasure talking to you today. Thank you. Bye bye.